Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Cindy Maple. I'm the product manager for our 2020 Office products. And today I'm hoping to give you a little bit of a glimpse into the future in our in 2020 Office. Today we've got kind of a full agenda, but what I want to cover today is what's new in the new version 2019 of 2020 Office. That should be arriving on your desks sometime early next week. And as well as covering the V19 features, I also want to show you some of the other exciting capabilities that we have recently added in Office. So our agenda for today is to review software keys, to look at our 2020 content downloader, and then to review some of the new things in version 2019, including the what's new, support for AutoCAD 2020, and a new 2020 ribbon, or a new ribbon in 2020 CAP. So this picture was sent to us by a customer with an obvious sense of humor, but it also tells us here at 2020 how anxious you are for a new solution to replace our historic hardware devices. Today I'm happy to report that we now have over 1,000 users of software keys at 2020 My Account. This new system will replace our current hardware keys over time. It will add flexibility for all of our users and make the job of managing and deploying your company's licenses a lot easier. So let's go on and we'll talk about some of the benefits that software keys will bring to your company. The biggest benefit of software keys is there is no longer something to break, lose, or potentially be stolen. You don't have something physical to track anymore. Software keys offer better security for the company. You don't have to worry about having hardware keys returned before an employee moves on. Those who work on multiple machines no longer have to carry devices from machine to machine. And I'll talk about this in a second, but you simply sign out on one machine and sign in on another. This may be kind of a simple thing, but it also frees up limited USB computer ports. So nothing is hanging out of the side of your computer, which I've heard from a lot of dealers is problematic. The other thing is larger companies now have the ability to manage their key distribution on their own using 2020 My Account. So before we get into 2020 My Account, let me give you an idea of how software keys work. So when you're using software keys, you'll sign in with your email and password to use any of our 2020 applications. Once and the sign-in occurs here, what happens is when you load the application, this little window pops up, and then you'll have a sign-in, which is typically if you have a community account with us, you can use the same password and same credentials. When you sign into one 2020 Office application, it automatically signs you into all the other applications, so your workflow is not interrupted. So for example, if you sign into CAP and you go to run a takeoff into Worksheet, you don't have to sign into Worksheet again. It's automatically, you're automatically signed in. This is kind of important too. The users stay in until you decide to sign out. So at the end of the day, you can just close the application and go home without having to sign out. When you come back in the next day, you should still be signed in. The only time you're going to want to sign out is if you want to change computers. So those that work on different machines at home in the office, you can install it on both machines, and instead of having to remember to carry your key home, you just have to remember to sign out on your work computer so you can sign in on your home computer. The other thing the other question that always comes up is, what if I don't have internet connection? With this system, you can work offline for up to 7 days without the internet. Now, what that means is 7 continuous days without the internet, because the system actually searches periodically for an internet connection, and it resets those 7 days. So let's say that you sign in, you lose internet connection, you're off for a day. When you sign back in, when the internet connection comes back, the software will know that, and it'll reset your 7 days. So now I want to talk a little bit about my cloud account. And what my account does is it allows the company or your dealer admin to manage all of your products in one location. So the screen that you see up before you now, I apologize, it's not live, but this is, I'm actually an admin on our 2020 internal account. So you can see that it tells you who is signed in, and it tells you what the company's product summary is. So what I see here is all the different licenses and subscriptions that my company has access to. I can see the total number of licenses, and then I can also see how many of those licenses are unassigned, so that you can manage your different users. So I'm going to move now to the Manage Users portion of 2020 my account. And you can see at the top I can add a new user. So when I add a new user, it basically starts an email chain so that the user that I add gets an email. It tells them what products they're allowed to use, and then there's a series of steps that they go through to accept that license. So at the top of the screen, as an admin on the account, I can see how many people have received the email and accepted it. I can see how many emails are outstanding, so the email's actually gone to the person, but they haven't gone through the process to license the account. I can see to the right, I can see all of the products that they're set up to, that they're allowed to use. And then far to the right, I can actually delete a customer, which frees that, delete a user, which frees that account to be used by another person. So here at 2020, we're excited to have this because it does put some of the management back into hands of the dealer, and it also gives them a little more control rather than having to call here and change things. They can actually do some of that control on their own. The next thing I want to talk to you about today is something that we've just recently introduced called the 2020 Content Downloader. And so, you know, 2020 in the long term is investing in redefining how our content is delivered to you. And right now that's working in the residential portion of the company, and Office will eventually be moving to that technology. But in the meantime, we understand that distribution of content on DVDs is problematic. So in the short term, our first incremental step here is we released the 2020 Content Downloader. The Content Downloader is perfect for larger companies who are distributing content to multiple users or multiple locations via a network. The 2020 Content Downloader is an option to receiving DVDs for those companies who are comfortable downloading large files and have the appropriate internet download capacity and available disk space to do so. Now, like I said, this is the first increment, so this isn't going to this may not be appropriate for every company, but for those large companies that can handle a large download, because we're essentially downloading all of the monthly content through the web, it makes the installation a lot faster. So when we talk about the Content Downloader, some of the benefits to that is you get to receive the monthly content earlier. So right now we are able to beat our delivery of the DVD set by somewhere between 7 and 10 days every month. Once that content is downloaded, installation takes about 15 minutes for all of the catalog. So the download takes about the same amount of time. I was telling somebody the other day, if I sit down with all the DVDs and I install every catalog that we distribute, it typically takes me 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on how fast that is. So depending on how fast your internet is, the downloading everything takes, around, depending on the size of your pipe, around 2.5 hours. But then I save the time of having to swap DVDs and babysit the DVDs. The installation uses the same installer that we have today, so anything that you already have set up at the dealership will continue to work. The downloader does away with some of the media issues we have. So, we're shipping DVDs out through the mail, and sometimes they get scratched, or sometimes something isn't copied properly, so that creates downtime for the dealer. By using the content downloader, you essentially remove the immediate issues. As I said earlier, this is perfect for large companies. We have been doing this and making this available since December of 2018. And if we look at May went live on the 15th, and so far we have about 250 downloads so far. One thing I wanted to point out, access to the downloader at this point is assigned to the person within your company that receives the DVD set. So that's the person who is able to do the download. So I'm going to show you something here in a minute. First, I'm going to show you how the downloader works, and then I'm going to go on. Let me go on here and just kind of show you how our, excuse me while I pop out of here real quick. What I want to show you is right now we are distributing the downloader through an email. So this is something that we want to make sure that if you're the person that receives the DVD, we want to make sure that you're receiving this email. This is not like your typical email. This is a way that we're distributing the content now. So you'll get an email that says this is the 2020 content downloader, and this email is good for the person that it's sent to. Okay, so the first page here shows you a little bit about what the content downloader does, some of the things that I've covered earlier, and then there's a big button here in the middle that says get the May 2019 content downloader. So if I click on that, it takes me to a page here now that tells me just a little bit about the content downloader. It tells you how large the download is and about how long it will take and how much free disk space you need on your computer to be able to do this. And then I can enter the email. Whoever receives it enters the email, press send, and it will come back with a button that you can download the downloader. So it's a quick download. I click download, and you'll see in a couple of seconds it's a small file that it downloads, which is for that month's content. Okay. So I'm going to go out here, and I actually have the content downloader on my desktop already, and I'm going to just show you a little bit about how the downloader works. So once I click on the executable, it gives me a welcome screen, tells me what month I'm downloading. I click next, and it'll ask me to either begin a download or I'll cover in a minute. You can actually continue or to resume an existing download. And it gives me just some information about it's best to disable your sleep and hibernate mode. Then I can select where I want this to go. So I'm going to say I want this to go to my desktop and best. Make a new folder, and it'll go into that new folder, and I can start the download. So while this is downloading, I just want to explain a few things to you. The way that we present the content for download is we actually take the 60 gigabyte file and we break it into smaller pieces. And the reason we break it into smaller pieces is because we want this download we want to give you the ability to pause and resume the download or handle internet fluctuations efficiently. So what happens is it continues to download, and let's say it downloads in 1 gigabyte increments. So let's say I get to 2.5 gigabytes and I have to pause it or I have to stop the download for some reason. The most it'll ever have to roll back to begin again is 1 gigabyte. So this makes it very efficient for you to be able to download the data overnight. We have several people using this now, and they'll often, start the downloader before they leave at the end of the day, and everything is downloaded in the morning for them to distribute internally within their company. So just to demonstrate a couple of things here, the content's downloading now, but at any point I can pause that download, and let's say I walk away from my computer, or I have some reason that I want to pause it, it will pause. And you see that down here in the task pane, the color turns yellow, indicating that your download's paused. At any point, this is just a message telling me to resume it. I can resume that download, and it hasn't gone far enough, but I'll actually begin seeing a green progress bar across the bottom here. So we allow you to pause and resume. The other thing you can do is you can actually cancel the download. If you decide to cancel the download, let's say it's the end of the day, well, there's various reasons you want to cancel it, but even if you cancel it at the end of the day, you can actually keep whatever downloaded files you had. So if it's Friday, you want to get out early, you can cancel the download. It'll save what you've downloaded to date, and it'll pick right back up there when you come in on Monday morning and start it again. So you have the option here. Do you want to keep what's there? Yes. Or do you want to discard what you've already downloaded? Maybe you downloaded it and need to start over. Or you can actually cancel your cancel. So we're not going to go through the whole download here. I just wanted you to see that it's pretty easy and self-explanatory. And what this does is it downloads the whole approximately 60 gigabyte file. Okay, so I'm going to cancel this for now. Go back to our PowerPoint. No, I don't want to keep it. There we go. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, please feel free to include those in the Q&A area. So again, just as a refresher here, when you use the content downloader, it downloads the entire DVD set. So if your company only needs to download certain catalogs, you're going to still want to use 2020.net to do that. But this download will download to your computer. You can download it to an external hard drive or directly to a network location, which makes sharing the files once it's downloaded really easier. You don't have to swap disks or babysit your downloads anymore. You can pause and resume the download as needed, like I showed you. And again, it uses the existing installer, so all your processes that you're used to, you keep that same functionality. So I just included a slide here. We've got several customers using this and that have been using it for a number of months now. So here's what some of our customers are saying. It's a great solution, less work and good for the environment because we're not populating DVDs. It's very easy and quick to download. It was very easy, simple, and very convenient. This is the best thing you've come out with in years, and much better than the DVD process. So we're getting a lot of good reviews on this. And like I said, one of the things that I just want to remind people is we understand that this isn't going to work for everyone, but those of you that have a larger company or have a large internet pipeline, this is a good alternative for you. So finally today I want to get into some of our feature demos for our new 2019 features. Just a couple of things here. For 2019, 2020 CAP supports AutoCAD 2020. And in the interest of time today, I'm not going to demonstrate some of these new AutoCAD 2020 features, but I did try to list a few of the features that you might want to check out. AutoCAD 2020 introduces a new enhanced purge feature, and this is really cool to be able to find things that you can't always find when you're doing a purge. It has some enhanced capabilities to help you do that. In AutoCAD 2019, they introduced a DWG compare where you can open two drawing files and compare them to one another. They've actually improved on that compare functionality, and so you want to look at the enhancements they've made to DWG compare. And one of the other things I think may have been in the software for a release or two, but we just kind of became aware of it, is something called associative arrays. And what that means is you can make changes to the array after you've created it. So it's really made the array functionality in AutoCAD pretty powerful. So I'd encourage you to take a look at these things and see if they can be helpful to you at your dealership. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the software and show you some other things that we're excited to introduce. I've already loaded 2020 CAP here, again in the interest of time, and I've loaded a drawing, but there's a couple of things I want to show you. The first thing I want to show you is we've actually updated or enhanced our What's New feature. So What's New either from the Tools menu or when you first load the application comes up, and it looks different. It's got a more updated look to it. If you click anywhere on this What's New, it actually takes you to a website, and we have an announcements page within 2020 Office. So within this page, you can see what some of the monthly content updates are and some of the software updates. So you'll see that this page has been updated for Office 2019. You also have access to our 2020 community, some things that are that we're promoting within 2020 Office. And you also have direct access to the Knowledge Center and to be able to sign up for 2020 training. So these are all on the announcements page. The nice thing about the new What's New is it's always up to date. Since it's web-based, we can go in and we can provide updates at any point. So one of the things, if you want to see the content updates, you click here, and this takes you to a content update page specific for May. Within this page, you can see there's a monthly update summary, which is a place where you can go and see all the different manufacturers that are updated for May 2019. Those that are highlighted have some sort of update to them. And all these other files in here, and this is dynamic, it can change every month. Those are files that the manufacturer has provided us to support some of the new things that they're introducing and the new things that they're producing for the month. The other thing that the What's New takes you to is our software user guides. So there are direct links to all of our user guides from this page as well. And then below are also resources. You can get to the community, the Knowledge Center, our training place, and the 2020 support. Okay, so that's the What's New. Again, that's available from the Tools menu or when you first load the application. And I think you can load it from the software menu as well. The other thing I want to show you today, I'm pretty excited about. Right now, we have this 2020. Historically, we've had a 2020 CAP pull-down menu. We've renamed this pull-down menu to 2020 Office to better reflect the fact that it also leads you to some of our other 2020 tools. But we've actually also added a ribbon. If I go into drafting and annotation mode, we've added a ribbon here for 2020 Office. 2020 Office. We've also, what I'm showing you today is kind of a hybrid model. We're also working on modifying this ribbon already for 2019.1. But the idea is now you have a ribbon that is set up very much like a designer approaches a project. And so it makes it easier to find some of the icons. So you have your setup menu here where you can set up your project. You have your Explorer menu and insert by part number. Those that are familiar with ribbons will recognize this. If I click the bottom of anything that has a down arrow, I may have other commands, and when I select those commands, that functionality is there, but it also changes that button to display the most commonly used items. We have a section in here that allows you to group things into CAP's parts and standards and bounds, and it's the same thing here. I can create a new CAP bound, I can edit my CAP bound, and I can undo my CAP bound. So you can see how those buttons will work. I don't need that. Yes, cancel. Your automation palette is in here, so I can click on the automation palette and have all the automation come up. We have block info, which is to be able to get the information off certain symbols. If I want to convert things from plan to 3D, so let's create take those from plan to 3D. And then if I click the pull-down menu, I can convert those back. Convert 3D to plan, I can convert those back. So as you can see, these are a lot more visible than the toolbar menus, and we're excited to introduce this capability. Over here to the right, you can create your worksheet like you've always been able to do, and then you can also load visual impression from here. The other thing that we've introduced with the ribbon is you'll see we've got some new icons on the menu, and we're in the process of updating some of the icons. So you'll see that they have the new orange and gray look and feel, our new branding. Also, one of the things we've changed in the in the ribbon is the backgrounds are no longer they're ping files now. So regardless of whether you're working with a light or a dark background, all of the icons show appropriately. Okay, so we're excited to get your feedback. We've already gotten some feedback, and what I'm showing today is what we're going to be showing at NeoCon, which is a step further than what we have in 2019. But I wanted to show you this. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to give you a preview of some of the other things we're working on. So a lot of the times, you only see the things that are in Office, but 2020 is a big company, and sometimes you can't see some of the things we're investing on in other parts of the company. And those things are eventually going to make their way into Office. So on the screen, what you see is a rendering produced out of 2020 Fusion, which is our kitchen software used in Europe. Fusion now uses the same rendering engine that visual impression does. So soon you'll be able to create renderings of this quality out of visual impression in the same short time frames that you're used to. So notice the improvements in the reality of the glass items. So if you look at the lamp here, the reflectiveness of surfaces. So if you look at the backsplash behind the sink, and also the appearance of sunlight. So you can see the sunlight coming in the window. You can see some sunlight on the sides of the windows. All of these things, it's easy to say, it's easy to say we haven't seen an improvement. And what I wanted to illustrate here is that some things are improving, and some of our investments are in other 2020 tools that will be coming our way. So this specifically is an improvement in rendering and visual impression, but there's other upcoming visual impression enhancements. We're really looking at giving you the ability to move items in the scene, and also we want to be able to move visual impression to 64-bit so we can more effectively use your company's computer system resources. So please stay tuned, as there's even more things coming. So that pretty much wraps up what I have to show you today. We are here to help you anytime. We have access to training. We do have a knowledge center that we add things to on a daily basis. And we also have the 2020 community, which is a place for you to go and share your ideas with some of your peers and all of us. We also encourage you to follow us on social. There are weekly items that provide tips and tricks. We have Tip Tuesday, Knowledge Wednesday, and a Sunday reading post. For more information, please visit our website at 2020spaces.com.